Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Changemakers 21. I have a really special guest here today, and disclaimer, my special guest is my brother. His name is John. And John, welcome to Changemakers 21. Can you tell us a little bit about where you are? We have people watching all over the world, so tell us where you are and what your background is and what do you do in the community that helps make it a better place to live.
Yeah, currently I'm in Naples, Florida. That's good for about 3 more hours because I'm about to fly back to Chicago. So I'm kind of living a double life right now. I'm part-time in Chicago, part-time in Florida, but enjoying both. And really, I've gotten involved in activities in both cities, different volunteer activities, and it's been very, very enjoyable here in Naples. Just really we started coming down here about 5, 6 years ago, and I got involved a little bit, and it's progressed since then, and gotten involved with a bunch of different organizations here. Harry Chapin Food Bank is one of the biggest ones in Florida, providing food for all kinds of needy organizations, churches, homeless shelters, etc. I was kind of thrown off in the beginning too, because Harry Chapin, our younger listeners probably don't even know who he is. And our generation, he wasn't exactly a famous guy, but it was named after him. He was a singer of some renown, but he died in a plane crash. And I think around age 35, his parents started the charity in his name. It was something he was involved in. So the Harry Chapin Food Bank. I've also gotten heavily involved with St. Matthew's House, which helps out some drug addiction programs, homeless shelters, also feeding the hungry here in Naples. And then Meals for Hope is another program that does similar things. So all three of those I've got involved in. And one thing I found, I think a lot of people here in Southwest Florida, when you're living in other parts of the country, and you hear Bonita Springs and Fort Myers, and particularly Naples, including myself, everybody thinks of it as the beach community and the well-to-do area, Gulf Shore Boulevard and everything. And one thing I've discovered in Naples and all these areas is there's a vast community beyond the more well-to-do beach area. And there's a lot of middle class, a lot of low income, and they have homeless problems here, just like many, many other areas.
So can you tell us specifically what do you do for those organizations? What type of, what would your afternoon or morning look like when you go to volunteer?
All right. So I like to be hands-on. So when I got involved with volunteer organizations, I'm not as big on, being a board member or going to meetings and stuff. I like to kind of be in the trenches and deal with the people. So Meals for Hope, we typically have trucks come out. We unload the trucks, set up tables. It used to be people would get out of their cars and would bring their grocery bags, and they would come along the table lines, and we would help serve them the various different kinds of food. When the pandemic started a couple years ago, now they've changed, and basically the cars drive by. So we'll open up, we'll greet the people. We try to be as nice as we can. A lot of them are struggling, having some tough times, but we greet the people, open the trunks, give them the food, and then pretty much move them along. So that can go for 2 or 3 hours, and anywhere from 200 cars to 500 or 600.
And how many days a week are you volunteering?
Say that again?
How many days a week are you volunteering?
Well, right now, it's become almost like a full-time. So it's my main thing here in Naples. I call it my golf because there's a lot of people down here that play golf like 4, 5, 6 days a week. I'm a very happy non-golfer. So right now it's actually 6 days a week. I'm doing various things. Harry Chapin Food Bank is similar to that, kind of a similar setup. And then at St. Matthew's House, they have multiple different charitable opportunities. The one I work is a donation table where cars from the community, when they're moving, maybe a parent has passed away, they're cleaning out their house, They will bring all kinds of donation items to the donation table. We separate, we sort, we bring it to the warehouse, and then St. Matthew's House has thrift shops where they'll sell the products that we get in at the donation table. They
Sure.
use the profits from the donation table, from the thrift shop, to help finance their homeless assistance programs.
That's great. So I want to tell you why we nominated you as a change maker.
Besides you being my brother?
Yes. First off, I was down in Florida, I think 4 or 5 months ago, and my brother John asked me to help volunteer. And I don't know, it was like 90 something degrees that day, and we were outside loading the groceries into the car. And I'm serious. After about 2-3 hours, I was done. Like, it was done. And so we are really impressed that you do this as your quote unquote full-time job, or better, as you say, your golf. So it's one thing to volunteer, a couple times a month, but this is your activity. You are out there daily in the trenches, not, in a boardroom, or not, figuring out behind the scenes, but you're right there loading the groceries, sorting the clothes, putting it in people's car. And that's really impressive. And that's why you were nominated. Can you share with everybody, what inspires you to do what you do? Why do you do what you do? Why do you put, so many hours behind this? What's the inspiration? Where did it come from? What's your philosophy behind it?
Well, I don't know if it was one single thing. I do it like most people when they volunteer because it makes you feel good, and you're helping out others. I think that's kind of a common volunteering thing for me. I know when I came down to Florida from wintry Chicago, one, I wanted to do something outside.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I wanted to do something where I'm going to get some exercise. And three, I wanted to do something where I'm around people. So all three of those, fit the categories of things that I got involved in. And, probably started way back in Chicago there. You remember I was involved in Special Olympics. That's probably what first got me, the great feeling, got me involved with the great feeling you get from volunteering. And I still remember as a 22-year-old kid, my first job out of school, and was in recreation department, and somebody invited me to come to a board meeting of the Special Olympics. And I didn't know much about it. And an hour and a half later, I left that board meeting and I was their official games sports coordinator. One of those deals where they threw out the
Right.
fish hook and reeled me in. But ever since then, I got involved with Special Olympics. I think that was the trigger, and it makes you feel good. I enjoy it, and keeps me active, and you feel like you're doing something good.
That's great. Any specific challenges that you've had that are worth sharing with anyone in your volunteering, or any specific successes that you've had that were significant to you?
I think the biggest challenge maybe is, not, you want to be empathetic, but not too sympathetic. You get too caught up in some of the stories. It can bring you down, because there are some people, like in Chicago where I work at Connections, and even here, there are some in tough situations, some in homeless situations that don't necessarily want to be helped and are almost comfortable in that environment that they're in. And that kind of is frustrating to see, but those are small compared to the successes you see. And
Sure.
Working down here, I remember at St. Matthew's, there was one guy I remember that I worked with, and he was help managing the donation table. His name was Rodney, and he told me the story how he hit rock bottom, was near suicidal, homeless, no family, was up near Rockford, Illinois, and he was literally sitting on the street contemplating, what do I do now? He had nothing, and a migrant bus heading from the south up to the north happened to pull by, and they saw him sitting there, all migrants on the bus, and the supervisor got out of the bus and said, hey, you want to join us? So here he is, white American guy, nothing. He said, you know what? He said later, he said it was, something from the heavens, that, God brought that bus, and he jumped on the bus, went up north to Wisconsin and Michigan and did the crops, did the migrant work, ended out going down south. Back for the season there, ended out going through a recovery program, and now he was working at St. Matthews, went through the program there, and now he's one of the supervisors.
That's
so you
great.
see a success story from someone who was rock bottom to becoming a success like that. And that's the kind of stuff that makes you feel good.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great story. So finally, before we conclude, the purpose of Changemakers 21 is just to, let everybody know that the average person, anyone can be a change maker in their community by just stepping up and doing something. What would you say to someone who has been inspired by this story, or someone who wants to do something in their community, but maybe doesn't know where to start, or thinks that, it's too much work, or they don't have the time? What advice or guidance would you have to someone who is inspired and wants to do something?
Take the first step.
Nice.
Even if it's a baby step. You can look at the big picture. Oh, what am I going to do with the time? I don't got time for this and family and just don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Take that first step. I still remember, besides the Special Olympics, really what got me into the whole homeless assistance thing was a little ad, very little ad I saw in a local paper in Chicago. Front desk help needed for connections for the homeless in Evanston. Just a little ad, and just, like many other people out there, I was probably, thinking about it. It might be something to do. Well, I took the step, called the lady. Week later, I'm over there, and I became the front desk supervisor over there and got to meet and know a lot of the people, and that kind of what triggered it. So I would say that's what it is. Just the baby step, the first step, get into it. Don't get overwhelmed by thinking it's going to be too much.
Right. That's great. I love that advice. Well, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate your time, and welcome to the Changemakers inaugural class of 2021. So safe travels back to Chicago, John. Thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate your asking me to be on.
Okay. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. That was great.